another way to tell if a relation is a function. Now given a graph instead of the ordered pairs, we are able to try to determine if the graph of the ordered pairs is a function. All right, let's look at this right here. This is a graph right here of some ordered pairs. And if you look at this graph, you can see that it passes through different points, which would have been ordered pairs. Like, let's look at this point right here. This point right here is over 1, up 1, so that would be 1, comma 1. That would be the point right there. Now, I'm just giving you some background on understanding this graph. Now, if we were to come down here and pick this point, that would be 1, 2, negative 2, negative 2. So as you can see, there's endless number of points on here. All right. Now, if we had this, we could see if the domain repeated, the x value repeated. But what if we're not given these values? And all we're doing is looking at the graph. Well, we can do what's called a vertical line test. Vertical means straight up and down. And we can draw a line anywhere on this graph, like right here. Here's a vertical line, and it appears that this line is at 1, 2, 3. This is x equals 3, and it only hits the graph one time. And since it only hits the graph one time, that means there's only one value of y for this x value. And so we can just draw other lines, other vertical lines, anywhere on here. And if it does not intersect this line but one time at any place on this graph, then it is a function. This is a function, because no matter where I draw these vertical lines, okay, some people say you can just set your pencil on it like this and look through here like this, and it only intersects one time. But to me, that pencil's kind of, covers half the graph. So what we're going to do is we're going to say vertical line here, here, no matter where I draw it, only crosses one time. Therefore, that is a function. Now, let's look at some others. All right, we have one here. Here's a graph that's been drawn. Here's the graph right here. This line and this line right here. If I was to draw I don't have any coordinates, although they're there, I just don't have any. I only have a picture. All right? If I draw a line anywhere on this graph, and it crosses more than once, it is not a function. And as you can see, this line right here, this is probably x equals, 3. But at x equals 3, there's a y value here and there's a y value here. So that means this x value has 2 y values. It crosses the graph at 2 places, more than one. So this is not a function. All right? Let's look at another one. All right, what about this one right here? Is this a function? Well, if I draw vertical lines at these points right here, it only crosses once. So I'm thinking it might be a function. But if I look down here, remember now, any place on the graph, if I look down here, it crosses twice. So therefore, this is not a function. This is called the vertical line test. All right, let's look at this one. Now, this one might be deceiving, but if you'll just look at it real closely, these arrows mean this go on and on forever. So if we draw lines at any point, anywhere on this graph, we'll see that they only hit, here's the graph, one time. One time. So that means this is a function. We don't have, it's just another way to tell. We could have ordered pairs and we could see that the x's didn't repeat, but we're given a picture here. Anytime we're given a picture, we use the vertical line test. Okay, let's try 2 more. Okay, here's one right here. Is this a function? Is this a function? Here's the graph here. Here's a graph here. Same graph, but it just, they kind of look a little different than the other ones. If we draw a vertical line here or here, we see that it only crosses one time. But if we draw a line, and remember now, anywhere on the graph, right here, it crosses twice. And since it crosses twice, it is not a function. This is not a function. All right, last one. Let's look here. Here we're given a picture of a graph. You take just a second and you tell me, you can do it without even having it on your paper. You can look at it and see, if I draw vertical lines, do the vertical lines cross anywhere on the graph more than once? If they do, it's not a function. If they only cross once, it is a function. So let's draw some vertical lines. Look at there. No matter where I draw these things, they only cross once no matter where I draw them. So therefore, this is a function. This is a function. And that's what's known as the vertical line test. Vertical line test. It tests for if a relation is a function. If a graph is a function, that's how you test it if you're given a picture. It's called the vertical line test. It's done by drawing vertical lines on the graph.